Hello guys, and welcome back to another tutorial. Hope you're doing awesome and making great progress in your software engineering journey. In today's tutorial, we'll be learning together how to build a command line interface that will help us store code snippet for later use. So we'll be using a package called Click, which is a beautiful command line interface library that provides a simple and straightforward way to create commands, add arguments, and options to it. So we'll be building this command line interface as I highlighted to help me and you as developer to store code snippet for later use. This command line interface will be simple. I'll be not using any code base or any database for storing that. I'll be using just JSON file, but feel free to enhance this project or this CLI later after you watch this video. So I created a new folder called Snippet where we will store our code. And before we start developing together this command line interface, let's create a new virtual environment to install our dependencies. And the first thing we need to do, let's say, I think I already created that. Oh wait, let's see, maybe I need to deactivate that first. And let's just say Python tree and fan, and then we can activate this virtual environment and write a file where our dependencies will be included. So let's say source fin activate, and then let's have a file called requirement.txt and open this file. We don't need to open it with nano since we have already Sublime open here, so we can just put clicks. This is going to be our main package that we'll be using to build our command line interface. You can read more about it using this documentation. You can find the link to this documentation in the description below. So let's go back to our terminal and let's have a file called Snippet Manager.py. This file will be executed as the main program of this command line interface. So before we start building our command line interface, we need to plan for the commands that this CLI will include. So as we said, we will be building code snippet manager. And when we talk about manager, it's something that can help us manage our snippets. We can add, we can update, we can delete, we can search and list, and even copy things, because snippets should be copied somewhere to be used. So that's why we will be using another package called paperclip for providing functionalities to copy and paste text. So paperclip is cross-platform clipboard that enables access to the clipboard, provides functions to copy and paste text. So we'll be using this package as well later. And for now, let's start first importing click, and let's define our commands. And before we define these commands, we need to put these commands, or let's say we have to define first the parent group where these commands will belong to. So this group will serve as the main entry point for the commands we will define later in our program. So every time we created a new command, we'll add it to this group in order to be executed properly. So to define a group for our CLI using click, what we need to do is to use this decorator and just say group. And then we can call this group CLI, which stands for CLI or command line interface and just have pass here. Then we want this file to be executed as the main program. So all we need to do is just say name code mean underscore mean, sorry, and then we can call our group here. So every time we add or create a new command, we will add it to this group of CLI. Great, so our first command, as we discussed earlier, the first command in anything that manages something is add. And let's start defining our command. In order to define a command using click, you can just do the same thing we did for group, but instead of saying group, we should say command. And then we can give a name to this command. So we can call this something like add. And now we can start writing the logic for our command to work. So, this command will prompt the user, 3 questions. So we want the user to store, their snippet very easily. So let's prompt them 3 questions. 1, to enter the title of the snippet, and let's say, for example, enter the snippet or snippet title. And another prompt will be, or another question would be, to enter the snippet language. So this can be JavaScript, Python, or anything the user will. It depends on the snippet that the user will store. So just say enter snippet language. And then we can ask the user to enter the code of this snippet. So we can just say code input, enter the snippet, or enter code snippet, right? Great, so this is our first, functionality here. So our first step for writing first command add. So now we want to store these values the user will enter in our data storage. And as we know, we don't have any database. We want to store this in a simple JSON file. To do this, let's create a new directory in our root folder. Let's call this something like snippet. And inside this directory, we can create a file called snippet.json, where our snippet will be stored. So this file is empty at the moment, so let's have a list to keep things organized, because if we make it empty here and save that immediately, we will get decoding error. So let's put this in a list, or everything we want to save in a list, and then we can think about how we can save that snippet, maybe in form of dictionary, which can be the best option to be included in this list, right? So let's go back to smartmanager.py, and let's start by loading this file. It's empty at the moment, but we need to load the existing JSON file in order to save into it, the data the user will enter. So in order to load the existing JSON file, we'll be using JSON package, since this file is in JSON format. So we can just say import JSON here, and then we can use, say, with open snippet.json. So since we want to load, we need just to provide read functionality here, and want to open this file as file, let's say just as f, and then we can write a function that from JSON that load the file. So this function is called load, that will load our file here f, and let's put this in a variable called snippet. Awesome. So now we have snippet, we have the content stored in this variable. So what we need to do is to store the content the user will enter in form of dictionary to save it back to the existing JSON file. In order to do that, let's just say snippet and append to it the user data in form of dictionary. So you can just say here F, and you can put, as always, a title as the first key, and then we can put title, and then we have language, and then we can put language here, and then we have code, then we can put code. So this file will be saved back to the existing JSON file by updating the current file and add to it our snippet user is entered. So in order to do this, we can just use the same function here, same piece of code, and say something like open, but instead of saying R, we should write and update that file. So we should use write functionality here, and we can keep the file as it is, but we don't need snippet since our snippet already exists. Load the existing file. What we need to use instead of load is damp to update the file, and then we can put the data by which we want to update the file, and then the file, and then we can add some indentation here and call for that refers to 4 tabs in our space here. Okay, so every time we add a dictionary, we need to end it by 4 with 4 tabs here, right? So that's for the add command. So I think it's complete. So all we need to do next is adding this command to our group CLI. So in order to do this, we need just to define CLI in that way and just say command, or there's a function called add command instead in click, and we can call here our command add. So now we can just save that, and let's test this. Let's go to the terminal, clear it, and say Python Snippet Manager .py, then we can add use. So you can see here there is no magical cold click. Oh yes, I forget to install click here, so we included in the requirement.txt, but I didn't install it yet. So let's put just pip install r requirement.txt. Nice. And now let's run the command again. You can see we have the first question prompted, so we can put, for example, how to write an array in JavaScript. We can put the language here as JavaScript, and then we can figure out, something like fruits. We can say apple, orange, and maybe, strawberry. Sorry for that. And now, so I think our snippet now is saved. You can see snippet is saved successfully, but we need to let user know that the snippet is saved successfully to database here, which is our JSON file. In order to do this, let's have a message here called print, just print message, very simple message, snippet saved successfully. So if we want to repeat the process and see what's happened, so we have a problem here, constant use of tabs and spaces in indentation. Maybe I should, okay, so I think, right, so what about this one here? To blind lines, that's awesome. So now let's add this, and let's say how to brand in Python. Yes, so let's put Python here and just print something like hello Andromeda. You know what Andromeda is? Is a galaxy. You can see now snippet saved successfully here. So if I go back to my snippet.json, which acts as my database, so you can see here the first snippet is saved and the second one is saved next to it, and so on. So this is what we need for the first command, add. So now let's figure out the next command that we need to add to our group. And I think the command that we need to create later is something that can help us display the list of commands we have. So I'm talking about listing. I'm talking about displaying the list of the existing snippets. So let's create a new command with the same manner called display. So let's call it display. So let me just a little bit and see display. So this command will list only the list of snippet we have in our database. And to do this, let's just use the same code we use here to load the existing JSON file. And here that's in that part. And be careful because I'm using too many years. I hate that. So anyway, okay, this is for the open snippet. So we will using the same thing, and then we will look through it and print each snippet in our terminal. So to do that, let's just say for snippet, and so here we can just say, so I hate this indentation errors that I have in my text editor, so I need to remove them, their settings. So anyway, I'll fix that later. So we have for snippet in snippet, and just say print, you know, each snippet in our terminal. So all we need to do is just say something like title here, and put the snippet that we want to print. So we want to print first the title, and then we can do the same for the language. So we can just say language here, and here code. Okay. Then we can print, you know, just very simple space here. So let me fix this annotation step because there is a mix between tabs and spaces. So, all right, maybe I should do the same here. Okay, and this part needs to be the same as well. Okay, so now we get rid of that. So let's add our command to our group here, and let's say command display. So now if I save the file and go back to my terminal and add this and say display instead, you can see we have title, the first snippet, how to write an array in JavaScript with the language and code, and how to print in Python. You saw this. So wow, that's useful. Great. So we wrote two commands now. So our CLI includes two commands, one for adding commands to existing JSON file and one display the existing JSON file. Great, so the next command, it will be for searching for a command. So search can be a little bit complicated, so we are just going to have a very simple filter that filter the commands, or sorry, the snippet by the title and the language. Or maybe we can just search inside the content of the title and the content of the language. So this command that we'll be creating, I think we need an argument to it. So that will be a good opportunity to learn how to add an argument to a command. So let's start by defining the command first, and let's call this command in general, and let's call this, let's define the argument as well. So we can just say argument, and this can be just a keyword. Great, so our command will be, we'll call it something like search, and we can put here the keyword. So the first thing we need to do is to load the existing JSON file, or maybe we can, I think that would be better, since we want to load the existing JSON file and loop through this, okay? But let's think about the right algorithm that we can use to search for this. So the search command will have an argument. So the user here can write a keyword. So maybe we can say Python's, snippet underscore manager.py search, and then we'll write something like print or something like Python. So what will happen is we will get that snippet we want in the table. So in order to do this, let's list the group of commands we have, or maybe we can just say I think let's call this, that seems a little bit difficult, but let's build something very simple. So what we will do, we just list the commands we have the same way we did here. So let's load first our existing JSON file. Sorry guys, I need to give that. So we have here with open snippet JSON just to read the file, and then what we need to do, we need just to create a new variable that will represent the result of this search, this filter, right? So here we can just have a comprehension list, and we'll say for snippet in snippet. So we will use the keyword here, and we'll say if keyword dot lower, so we need to convert that to a lowercase, in snippet dot title. So we can filter by title, or don't forget to put this as well in lowercase, so that we can keep everything in lowercase and get the exact data we want later. So, and then can add or, since we want to perform the same logic in the language as well. So we can just say if keyword dot lower in snippet title, and also if keyword dot lower in snippet dot language. I don't know if that is useful, but maybe this can help a lot. So I don't know what's going on here. So this is our result. So looks very old. I don't know why it's not working here. Where's the invalid syntax for snippet in snippet? So maybe I should say snippet here. Okay, and used. Great, so I forget to put snippet there. It's awesome. And then what we need to do, we need to look through the result here and get, the exact search or exact result that user needs. So we just say for result, and well, let's put a condition first. If result, for result, in result, branch. So that will act the same way as it is here, but we don't want to, yeah, let's put this in that manner. So we can just say this here. So we have some mix of tabs and spaces as always, but instead of having result, we can just say snippet, sorry, we can have result here. Now we'll print the code. So there is no save at all, so we just need to put this, and then we can have an else statement that will, in case if that is not the result we are looking for, we can just say no, snippet found. So something like print, okay, I hate those strings, so no snippet found. Great, so that's enough for our, we have no error, that's great. So for result, if else, I think this should be here instead. Alright, so our logic looks right, so we will search for, we'll load the existing JSON file, and then we add this simple search here to search inside the contents of the title and the language according to what the user enters as a keyword. If it enters Python, it will search if Python exists in title or in language, and it will print, the result we want. So we can have many results here, but we can also add this. So maybe we can have 2 results. So if no snippet matches founding, so we can just say no snippet found. Great, so let's add this command to the to the group that we defined earlier. So it's called search. So now let's test it out and see if we have any bugs. So there's no bug here. It's awesome. So now let's go back to our terminal and say search. Okay, so we have a problem. Yeah, we forget to include the argument keyword in our command. So we can just say Python. So write this in lowercase, see if that works. Wow, that works as expected. Awesome. And let's have a new command. Let's add a new command. Let's put, JavaScript, or maybe let's say JavaScript from that way. You see we got JavaScript there. So we want to see if these commands will prompt 2 results if they match 2 cases. So let's say, yeah, let's go back to our terminal and add, new command. Let's say something like, so enter snippet title. Maybe we can say I'm addicted to how to write a list in Python and yeah, let's say veggies, potato, carrot, and onion maybe. So snippet saved successfully. You can go to see this. Nice. And now I just want to write the word of Python to see if it can get me to result or not. So we can just say Python, or maybe I can put Python in that way. Right, that works. Awesome. So now we created 3 commands. One to add command, one to add code snippet, one to display code snippet, and one to search for a specific code snippet. That looks simple, but you can make it more complex. So it's not a beautiful, filter here, but at least it works. Basically work for our purpose in this video. So now we need another command, and I think we need something called delete. So what if we want to delete code snippet from our existing list? So how we can do this? So this command is necessary to have. So in order to make something like that, let's create a new command and call this delete, too simply. So we can have it as delete command. So let's say delete. Maybe we don't need any argument or option here, so we just need this. Okay, great. So our command will be always, saying the commands here, but what we need to do is helping users choose or prompt the user the list of commands that we have, and then we will ask the user to choose the number of the command to delete. So in order to do this, let's just print this list, and we already have snippets, so we'll need to load that as always. So with command, as always, we can just put this here as always, and then we can write loops. So we can say for id or idx snippet, you can call this snippet really, and then let's enumerate this display within snippet. So we want to write this list in form of ordered list in HTML, 1 dot, 2 dot, etc. And then we can put the title of the snippet dash and the language. So in order to do this, let's just say print f as always, and we can say something like idx, and idx here, if we put it like this, it will print 0 at beginning. So let's add 1 to it, and then we can say dot here, and then we can put the snippet title, and then we can have language as well, snippet like this, and yeah, that seemed to be interesting, so we can just say language. Awesome. So we will do the same as is, so I don't think I have an indentation error as always. So let's fix that first. Okay. So now we need to prompt the user a question to know about their choice. So we can call this choice, right? And then we can input or prompt a question, enter, something, let's say enter the number of snippet to delete. Okay, and then we need to convert this number to an integer. And what we need to do later, since we want to, because the user will print the user, but we print the index of the snippet in the list. So we add here 1. So it means when the user when we perform the delete functionality, we'll delete the second item in the list instead of the first one. So we need just to put here -1 so that it can return back to 0. And then we can say if choice so we have a value here, so the choice should be between 0 and the length of the snippet, right? So in order to perform this, we need just to say 0 here should be less or equal choice, and choice should be less than the length of the snippets, right? So what we need to do now, we need just to get the right snippet from the list of snippets. So we can just say snippet choice, so this will go to the right here, that user enter. That's why we put here -1 to put 0 if that happens. And also we don't want to delete the first to be the second item, so that's why I put -1 there. Hope you understand this point, because maybe I didn't explain that to you well, but you get the point. So this is exactly for the snippet that we want to delete, and then we can just say del snippet. So I think that will delete the snippet from the code, and yeah, I think that's all we need. So now let's save the file. So let's get back to this. So we have choice, delete snippet, that's good, and no matching found or something like that. But let's see, I hope I'm not making something wrong here. Okay, I think that works. Good. Maybe we can just say del immediately, so we don't have to make that there. So the choice, you can just say with open as always. So but let me put this file to update it as always. Nice. And we can put here right, because we will update something in our file, and just say JSON dump and snippet. What else? F the file that we need to update, and then indent. I need this one. Okay, so if that is not the case, we can just say no matching found. We can just say print no matching found, and here don't forget to say print snippet deleted successfully. Great, so the command now is ready. I hope I don't miss anything here. So seems to be working. I think I have a problem here. Indentation. So maybe I should say that. Okay. So we have no error now, so we can just say click add command delete. Right, so let's go back now to our terminal and put delete. We have a problem. So snippet title stir and stir. Okay, this error shows up here. Snippet title and snippet language. Oh, I think it's because of the minus operator we have here. So let's see. So we have the snippet there. x plus 1. Of course, this should work. And if you go back to the if statement that we had earlier, so the problem exists here. So I think we can just idx. Sorry for that. Missed the point here. I don't know why. Maybe we can delete that, so that makes more sense. So we have idx somewhere. So now it should work. Nice, so now I understand what's going on. So I should say snippet and here language. Okay. So maybe because I put this inside these curly braces and considers that as a variable or as something to encounter here. Okay, so now if I go back there and say delete, you can see it displays the list of, the code snippet that I want. Yes, I need to choose from this to delete one of them. So I want to delete, for example, the first command. So I can just put 1, snippet deleted successfully. So I deleted how to write an array in JavaScript. So if I go back to delete, you can see there's no index available there. And if I put something like 4 extra arguments, so I'm sorry, so I shouldn't say that, so maybe I should say 4, no matching found. Awesome, that works. Great, so this is exactly what we are intending to have in this code snippet manager. So now everything is working as expected. There is one more command that we need to add, which is copy. So for this command to work, we need to use paperclip, and paperclip is a cross-platform clipboard, so it enables access to your clipboard easily without, it provides, a programmatic way to copy and paste text. So it provides functions for this, and so we use that now. So first thing we need to do is to install this package. So let's go back to our requirement.txt and add this there. So paperclip, and let's install that. And so I think I already have, so already install it. That's great. So paperclip now is there. So let's import it. You can just say import paperclip and save that. And now let's have copy. So copy command, it's very useful. Let's say you save that and want to copy a specific snippet and use it somewhere in your project. This will help. So to add this command, we'll use the same technique as always. Click command here. So you can use an argument here if you want, but we want the user to see all the list of the snippet he has, and then or she has, and then they can choose from the command that they want to copy. So that would make things more easier, because if we provide an argument, so know exactly the number of that index that this code snippet has, so it'd be very difficult for him in terms of user experience to copy this command. So in order to do this, let's just say div copy. And okay, so we'll be using the same logic as we did for open. So we will print list, and so we'll use these two first options, but let's copy everything here. And yes, so great. So we are loading the current list of our snippet, and then we tell the user, we display the list of the existing snippet, and then here we can just say copy and put here -1 for the choices, right? So we want to let the user enter the number of snippet to copy, and then we have the same logic as always, but instead of saying delete, we will implement something. We'll create a variable called snippet, and this will retrieve the snippet based on the choice the user select. And later on, we will run the function paperclip and do copy and copy the snippet. And then we can print a message that said snippet copied successfully, copied to clipboard. Very simple. No matching found, always the same. So this is how it should work. And now I think it should give us these desired results. So let's add this function to our group, add command, copy. And now let's save and see what we can get. So we have, so instead of that, we can just say copy. We have 1 and 2. I want to copy the first one. Remember how to print, or maybe let's say the second one. We have a problem here. So only string, int, float, and boolean values can be copied to the clipboard, not dictionary. What happens here? We have snippet choice, snippet copied here to the clipboard. So we said -1. I don't understand this error really. So paperclip exception, only string, int, and float. Okay. All right. So I put the entire. I understand. So I shouldn't put here the choice, but instead I should say snippet here. Yeah, I put the choice, so it will retrieve the snippet that the user want to copy, but here I provide the whole snippet, I mean the entire dictionary, you know what I mean? So I should just put the code that the user wants to copy, because that's the area of interest for the user. You want to copy just the code, so I just want to say here code, and then I can save the file, and let's run this command again. Copy 2. Nice. So let's see if the keyboard is copied successfully really. So let's go here and do Control V. It works. Awesome. So if I do the same command and choose 1, let's see now, that works. And if I choose something out of the index, it should print me a message that said no patching found. Awesome. That works as expected, and we ended up building our CLI interface in 112 lines of code. So I hope this tutorial is helpful to you. You find it useful, you find it very interesting and good gateway or gate to learn how to build CLI interfaces with Python and click package. Feel free to enhance this program, so I will leave the link to this code later in my description so that you can learn from it. Hope you find it useful, and bye for now, and see you in the next tutorial.